This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Jurassic Park Minute. Jurassic Park Minute is the fan podcast that chronicles and overanalyzes the classic 1993 film Jurassic Park minute by minute. I'm Kyle.
Oh, I'm Brady.
And today we're here to bring you minute number 38 of Jurassic Park. How are you doing over there?
Good.
Did you swallow something?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm better. No, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good too. It's funny how when you do this much talking at one point in time, you start to, all of a sudden you don't know, you realize that you have like spit in your mouth, or your vocal cords are sore or something like that. And you get to a moment like you just did there a second ago and everything kind of goes sideways. But
right.
I'm glad we made it through it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, all right. We got a couple of new characters we're going to be introduced to today. So you want to go ahead and get into minute number 38?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. In the previous minute, we got a round of issues on the park from the three scientists invited to see the island. Malcolm, Ellie, and Grant all brought up problems they had with the park. At minute number 38, Dr. Grant has just stated that dinosaurs and man have been thrown together after 65 million years apart. He questions how they can possibly know what to expect next. At 38:11, Hammond laughs and says that he cannot believe it. Hammond motions towards Grant and says that he was brought to defend Hammond, and now the only one on his side is the blood-sucking lawyer. At 38:19, the camera cuts over to Gennaro, who says, "Thank you." At 38:22, an attendant walks over to John Hammond and whispers something into his ear. After a few seconds, Hammond smiles. Hammond stands and says, "They're here." At 38:29, we cut to a shot underneath the T-Rex skeleton in the visitor center lobby. The group is seen walking down the staircase. Hammond says that the four of them are going to have a spot of company in the park and spend some time with their target audience. At 38:36, we cut to a ground-level shot where a couple of children are running towards the camera, yelling, "Grandpa!" Hammond throws his arms open and yells, "Kids!" The kids run up the staircase and knock Hammond down. The kids are Lex and Tim, Hammond's grandkids. The camera pans up to Ellie, who is smiling. Grant looks scared. At 38:51, we cut to an exterior shot of the Jurassic Park Visitor Center. A pair of modified Eddie Bauer edition Ford Explorers pull up to the Visitor Center front. Hammond asks the group to confirm how nice the cars are. And thus ends minute number 38 of Jurassic Park. So yeah, we get to see Tim and Lex here, right?
In this minute, we get what a lot of this franchise is for, and that's kids. It's little kids, and we finally get our, children characters. And it kind of frustrates me because, it works in this movie. It really does. But we have just had this awesome moment where we've got a bunch of adults sitting around debating like ethics and stuff that I'm more interested in. I think, honestly, I was more interested in as a kid when I saw this movie, too.
Yeah.
But
I remember seeing this movie and seeing the kids come along and being like, "Oh, great, here we go."
Yeah.
Even though I had read the book and I knew it was going to happen, the kids, I was like, "Oh, this is just going to make the movie stupid and for kids," even though I was a child at the time of 13. Yeah.
Well, I want to get into that. But first off, let's point them out. This is Tim and Lex Murphy, who are Hammond's grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And he mentions, or Restagno mentions earlier in the movie that Hammond's daughter is getting a divorce. Now, there's a big, I don't want to call it a big subplot, but it's mentioned a lot in the book. That Tim and Lex's parents are getting a divorce, and Tim's dad was like a real piece of work who didn't care about Tim's interest in dinosaurs and everything. Later on in the movie, Grant says something like, "Did your dad ever build you a treehouse?" And Tim says no. So they kind of go back to it there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was kind of a prevalent thing in the book. Was all this talk of their parents getting a divorce?
Right. Yeah. I remember it being a heavy plot point. Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a good reason to have them there to put them in the park. This is something they kind of went into in Jurassic World. It was almost like they liked that subplot in the book and they wanted to put it in that movie. And it's kind of relevant. The kids who are going there, the son is a dinosaur enthusiast. Their parents are getting a divorce. The parents are sending the kids to the park to get their mind off of it. And they're sending them to one of the people who's like in control of the park. So in this case, it would be Hammond. In that case, it's their Aunt Claire. So it was strange that they picked that thing to kind of echo in that movie.
Well, it makes sense too. In this one, the kids are really kind of a stand-in for Grant's character arc. He doesn't like children, so now he has to be with a couple of kids. It's like the bottle episode. Well, not a bottle episode, but on like an episode of a sitcom where they take two characters that don't like each other and they find a way for them to be stuck together for the course of an episode. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it interesting. Lost was a great show like that. You'd always have two characters and like, hey, let's do an episode with Claire and Locke. And we're going to throw them together for a 3-episode arc and have them come out. So that's what Lex and Tim's purpose in this movie is really for Grant's storytelling. So in Jurassic World, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was really like the younger brother was like autistic, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what they were
That's
kind
the
of
idea,
hinting at,
I
yeah.
believe,
And then
yeah.
the older brother kind of had to find his humanity by being a big brother and
Yeah.
not chasing, girls around. When he's promised a girl at the beginning of the movie that he
Yeah,
won't
he's
talk
gonna
to
be
any
back
other
or
girls.
whatever, yeah.
Anyway, but so yeah, that's kind of their purpose here in this movie is really for Grant's character arc.
So not just there to make the movie appeal to a children's audience,
Right.
but to give Grant
But
this
yeah,
whole thing.
you do also want to have a cipher for all the little boys and little girls that are seeing this movie. Yeah,
definitely. So okay, hey, what's up? Malcolm later on says he loves kids and all this, and then whenever they're showing all the adult men looking down the steps at him, he's got this big frown on his face. Come on, dude. But yeah, so Tim and Lex are played by Joseph Mazzello, who was in Jurassic Park, and they had a cameo in The Lost World. He was also in The River Wild, which is a really fun movie.
Yeah.
And he was his career. He didn't really do a whole lot for a few years, or he was active, but not in anything that mainstream.
Star Kid. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And so then he shows up in the movie The Social Network a couple of years ago, which was this highly regarded film. And he was playing Dustin Moskovitz, I believe is how you pronounce it, who was one of the guys involved in the creation of Facebook.
Related to Fievel Moskovitz, yes.
There you go. He actually auditioned for the part of Mark Zuckerberg, too. So,
okay.
Yeah, he was also in a television series a few years ago called The Pacific. It was a World War II drama produced by Steven Spielberg. So
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, he's had quite a comeback.
He's really good in Jurassic Park. He kind of
he's
plays
great, yeah.
the timid kid who's kind of annoying at the beginning, and he really gets the crap beat out of him in this movie more than anybody
really
else.
does,
At the
man.
end of the movie, where he sees that Jello and he's going to eat it. He's like
yeah.
dragging his foot behind him, and he's like, "All I want to do is eat this pudding and Jello."
There's a moment later on, and we'll get to it whenever we get to the T-Rex scene. But the car's been flipped over. He's like pinned down by the seat or whatever, and the T-Rex is looking in through the car, and there's a shot of him like crying and screaming. And it's really effective. I mean, it looks like really real terror.
He turned it on for that.
Yeah. So he was actually cast in this because he tried out for the little boy and Hook, but was too young. And Spielberg,
really?
Yeah, he really liked working with him, and like what he had to offer, and said, the next movie I make, I'm bringing you back for.
Well, he definitely got the better end of that deal for being in Jurassic Park.
Right. And so for Lex, we have Ariana Richards, who was in Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and Tremors.
And she was also in Angus after this, wasn't she?
Was she?
Am I thinking of her? Or am I thinking of Kirsten Stewart?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, look that up because that's extremely important. Angus Minute, somebody get on that.
Don't.
Yeah, please don't. But she's also a very accomplished artist as well. So reversing their ages as they were in the book for the film was a cool touch so that they could get both of these actors in there.
Ariana Richards?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in Angus.
Well, there you go.
There you go. I don't know why I remembered that.
Awesome.
So in this movie, we have Tim and Lex. In the next movie, we have Malcolm's daughter, who, stows away and goes to the island. In the third movie, we have that little kid that lives inside of the airplane and throws jars of piss at dinosaurs. And then in the fourth movie, we have the two kids in Jurassic World. It's kind of funny how each one of these movies finds a way to pull kids in as part of the adult story.
Right.
In Jurassic Park 3, it's David Duchovny's wife. Forget her name. Téa Leoni.
Yeah.
Beautiful woman. And
William H. Macy.
thank you very much for the parents in that one.
What a cast, man.
Yeah, it really
What a
is.
cast.
Yeah. But it's funny, too, because Grant doesn't marry Ellie because she wants kids and he doesn't.
Okay.
And that's the whole point of Jurassic Park 3.
Don't even get me started.
Well, I'm going to.
Damn it.
Okay, so you're started. What?
Oh, nothing. Just the whole conceit of the damn thing.
Yeah,
I know they put it in there to give his character some edge and motivation and everything like that.
But you would think at the end of this movie that he would have lightened up a little bit towards children. Maybe that's how hard off he was against having kids or children in general. Is he went from a total point of despising them to being I could be around children, but I'm not going to be a father to them.
It's not a huge thing in Jurassic Park 3, his distaste of children. But
No. But it's kind of the reason that they didn't get married, because the first thing he does is go to visit his ex-girlfriend, and he's hanging out with her kid in the backyard.
Really? I just would have assumed that she left for old State Department.
No, I think it was probably because of the kid.
What?
Because that's what she has. She has the
she's
child
only
in
a
there,
kid, but-
and he's completely uncomfortable about
All
it. That's
right.
why they
You really
broke
want to
up.
get into this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, gloves are coming off.
Okay.
No. Grant and Ellie did not get together, did not separate because of some damn kid.
They absolutely did.
No, they didn't. They
That was the
separated
reason.
because she found a better relationship in the guy from the State Department, and Grant couldn't handle it. And then she probably said, "You know what? Hit the bricks, dude."
Well, listen, there was quite a bit of time between Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3. So I'm thinking the problem here is that it was discussed ad nauseum, and then at some point he came downstairs and she was packing her bags.
Okay, you know what? Let's take a look at the divorce rate in this country, all right? What is it right now? 70-30? Or is that
I think it's at least
70-30 or something
50-50, yeah.
Oh, no way. It's more than that. But at the time of this movie, I'm sure it was big enough for
Oh, this is
real
coming like
people.
right out of the 80s,
I mean,
when like a no-fault divorce was actually introduced as a
okay,
law,
okay,
so
fair
there was
enough.
a lot of divorces going on. So
Fair
I don't think,
enough.
listen, I don't think that people are just going out there willy-nilly and getting divorced over like, no reason they get bored with each other so much as in this relationship. I'm saying they're in love. Ellie Statler is clearly in love with him the way she's joking around with him in the movie about having kids. It's something she's always talking about. Don't you want to have some kids? Don't we have some kids? Then we see them divorced, and what does she have? A newborn baby kid.
A newborn kid.
By the
And
way,
another kid in the sandbox.
a kid who saves his life later in the movie.
Yeah, right. And it's not even a 1-year-old or something like that. Who knows how to use a phone? Okay, look. We all know that it was like the sandbox. She didn't want to. He didn't want a sandbox. She wanted the sandbox, and they just couldn't handle it, so they got a divorce. So anyway, let's see. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about the tour vehicles.
Yeah. So that is the Eddie Bauer edition Ford Explorer. It's been modified to have that plexiglass kind of dome on top of it so you can see dinosaurs. They're so badass.
Yeah, God, they're awesome.
Ford never improved on that 1993, 1994 Eddie Bauer design.
They really did. They let it be its own moment in time.
Yeah.
But
I actually had one in high school. I drove one. I was after,
not painted. Let's let the listeners know it wasn't
was
painted
teal.
like this.
It was a pretty good looking
it
car.
was awesome. It was like a green Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of every time I saw it was the Jurassic Park car.
I remember Dad got another car, and he was like, okay, well, I think the one I was driving had broken down, and he got a new one and was like, I don't know, you can just, start using this one as the family car. And oh my God, it was badass. And looking at this one in the movie, what a great tour vehicle. Like, it's so comfortable looking on the inside. If you're going to be going through, like, the mountains and stuff of a Costa Rican island to see all these dinosaurs, it would be great. If you had to be in a car for about an hour slowly going by, looking at dinosaurs, this is probably the best way to do it, especially for that day.
In fashion, too.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of years ago, I think you and I saw it like within minutes of each other and sent each other a picture on our phones, a text message. There was one of those cars painted exactly like this in the parking lot of like the mall or something.
Yeah, I think we went to eat somewhere.
So someone in town has one of those cars.
Yeah, but okay, so there's two guys with Jurassic Park cars in town. There's the guy who has the Ford Explorer that I don't think it has the plexiglass roof because that would take a lot, but the paint job on it was very close to the one in the movie. It's very impressive. And another guy has a Jeep Grand Cherokee that he just like threw a Jurassic Park symbol on the side of it. So it's like a dark green, like 1990s Jeep Grand Cherokee with the Jurassic Park logo on it.
Dude, you got some work.
I wanted to go like, man, no, this is not the same thing. A friend of mine, listener of the show, Mr. David Cole is his name. He sent me a link to like a Reddit post. And it was all about this guy who had like a hybrid car and he needed to fix the battery on it. The battery went out. David sends me this thing. It's this long thing. I read the whole thing and I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting. Hey, that's pretty cool. I sent it back like, that's a really funny story. It was actually interesting to read, but I'm like, I don't know really what the point of it was. He's like, and you didn't notice anything funny about the last picture? So I looked at the last picture and it's the car with its hood up like in the guy's yard. And right next to it is the Ford Explorer from Jurassic Park in perfect detail there. And I'm like, what the hell? And there's no reference to it. Nobody ever mentions this thing, but it's right there in the background, painted perfect and everything. Like, I guess this guy's like a car collector or something like that. I don't know. So I thought that was really funny.
Well, it sounds like he's taken better care of it than Universal has taken care of the ones.
Oh, tell me about him.
Well, let's see. A little side note, in the book, they were actually Toyota Land Cruisers.
Yeah, that's right.
The BB4 model. Anyway, in the film, the cars have their own names. It's Explorer 04 and Explorer 05. 04 was the one that the T-Rex got to. And apparently, I couldn't find any specific information. I'm sure a listener knows what actually happened to these things. But one report was that they were looking into the backlot and saw kind of a junkyard almost of cars from their movies. And there were the two of these things just sitting there rotting away. And I figured there's no way any film studio would let something like that happen to an iconic car like this. But you've seen the big...
the Mobile Science Center?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. From Lost World has just been completely just thrown out in the desert and left to rot. Now, there are some people right now who are fixing it up. They found it and they're fixing it up.
Do you remember?
Yep.
I don't want to cut you off. You know what I'm talking about? Do you need to finish a thought?
Yes.
Well, okay, we'll come back to this.
Well, another report was that... the one that's been damaged is actually on the Jurassic Park ride in Universal Studios California, and it's the one that comes down over the wall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I don't know. And then I think the other one is in Universal Studios Florida, and you can walk up next to it and get your picture taken, which I have one of me as like a 10-year-old boy.
I remember that, yeah.
So I don't know which of those is true. I would hope that both of these cars were kept and put in use in terms of the ride and then in the other park. But man, isn't that a shame that studios let stuff like that happen?
Yeah, it's really weird. I remember the movie Aliens. They had pretty much every prop from that movie in the warehouse, and they needed to make space, and they just like pushed them all out to the curb. Somebody noticed it, and they like tried to go salvage a bunch of the stuff. But studios have to make space for things too. But it's funny because they spend so much money making that stuff, and sometimes they can repurpose it. Like we talked about, the street in Blade Runner was repurposed into a street in Ghostbusters. If you remember, a model street when the Stay Puft is walking down, and you see a lot of stuff show up over and over again. So they're really smart about some stuff, and then some stuff it's probably too much of a hassle.
And what's the purpose?
Well, yeah, I would say like now you would find people all over this world with money who would buy that no problem. I mean, like if I had $10,000 to burn and they were offering the unusable, undrivable prop from the movie, I'd probably buy it. It'd be awesome just to have in your house or whatever. But it's hard to keep track of that stuff, to keep cataloged all the props for movies, and it's very, very difficult to keep them in a non-rusting order. So
that's right.
Now, I stopped you a second ago, and we need to talk about this for a second.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to some tour vehicle information, but you go ahead.
You and I where were we going? Were we driving to Florida?
I think it was like North Louisiana or something.
It was something like that. Yeah. We're on the road.
Interstate, middle of nowhere.
Would have been like 1998 probably. We're driving somewhere. I don't know where we're going. But we're on like I-10. Like, you know what? I'm pretty sure it was to Florida. So let's just say Florida.
Okay.
So we're going to Florida. The science trailer from Jurassic Park 2 is driving down the interstate. And this is, I don't know that it would be a prop or whatever. I don't know if it was like an educational thing that was maybe going around to like promote the movie and teach kids about dinosaurs or something. It was a while after the movie Jurassic World Lost World had come out.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah, and it was just like in the movie. It had that accordion style like middle and everything. I mean, it had to be one of the versions they made for the movie because I think they destroy one of those things in the movie too.
And I can't imagine a fan going and making something on this scale.
But I remember looking at it and being like, what the hell is this? Where's this thing going? Did it say the Lost World on it?
I can't remember.
I don't think it did. I think it was like,
I think it was like straight up from the movie.
But it was definitely like from the movie. Like you saw it and you knew absolutely like that's from the Lost World.
But it's in the middle of like driving through Mississippi or something like that.
Yeah, it would have Mississippi, Alabama, something like that.
Why the hell is it there? And it was strange.
It was very bizarre. So so wherever the hell that thing is, if you're the person who is driving that, and if you want to get in touch with us, let us know at JurassicParkMinute@gmail.com. I have to know what was going on with that thing.
What the hell?
Yeah. So you got anything else?
Yes. Let's get back to the cars for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
So a little bit more on the cars. The original tour vehicle Explorer is actually in Jurassic Park 3. Believe it or not, there's a quick shot. Yeah, it's a quick shot of Grant and William H. Macy and Taya Leone just hauling ass, running away from something, and there's a broken down one kind of off to the side, and I believe it is the one that the T-Rex pushed over the side in the first film. So for Comic-Con 2014. Colin Trevorrow tweeted out an exclusive poster just for Comic-Con for Jurassic World by an artist named Mark Englard. It's really cool, and it features the overturned car at the base of the tree with a raptor kind of perched on top. And then in the wheel well of the car is a little nest with some eggs in it. And then in the background, you see Jurassic World being constructed. So I had heard that we were going to be going back to some of the original sites from the first film, and I was like, oh my God, if the director of the movie is, tweeting this out, that must mean that we're going to go check this thing out too. So it was kind of misleading, but a very cool poster.
Yeah, was that one of those Mondo posters?
I believe so, yeah. It's
yeah.
by Mark Englard, Comic-Con exclusive Jurassic World poster. So go search it. It's very cool.
Yeah, those I love those specific posters they get by artists like that. So some of the coolest stuff. I wish I had infinite wall space and money. I would get everything, every little thing they do. They're so good looking. We got anything else for this minute?
That's it for me.
I think that's about it for me as well, folks. Thank you so much for joining us again. Just to let you know, this Saturday we're going to have our Star Wars special coming up. We're going to have a round table. Jedi Council is going to be getting together and talking about where Star Wars kind of stands right now. We're a year out from The Force Awakens, how we think everything stands, kind of a retrospective on The Force Awakens, and looking forward to Rogue One, which of course comes out as of this recording next Friday. Not this Friday, next Friday. So that's going to be our Patreon episode. Go over to patreon.com/PeleMedia to find out how you can get that. Of course, getting a subscription to that also immediately gets you every back episode of Ghostbusters Minutes bonus episodes we did. Some of those I think is probably some of her best work. And Brady, next Monday is going to be the debut of Goonies Minute.
That's
now, the
right.
pilot for that did drop this week. So if you want
Yeah.
to find out what Brady and Chris are doing over there, check it out. Wherever your fine podcast is found, Goonies Minute is the name of the show.
Yeah, we're having so much fun putting it all together and can't wait to release the first episode this coming Monday. So
Awesome.
be sure to check out Goonies Minute.
Looking forward to that, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow on a Friday show for minute number 39. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And until next time, hold on to your butts.
Jurassic Park Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the podcast, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can contact us at JurassicParkMinute@gmail.com and visit us online at JurassicParkMinute.com, Facebook.com/Jurassic Park Minute, and Twitter.com/Jurassic Minute.
You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.